India has rolled out the red carpet for the leader of one of its closest allies. Let's get to these visuals first. Prime Minister Modi received the Russian president at the Delhi airport, the Palam airport this evening. The two leaders shook hands, hugged each other, exchanged warm greetings before heading out in the same car. Prime Minister Modi broke protocol by coming to the airport to receive his dear friend, bringing that personal touch as well. Prime Minister Modi is hosting a private dinner for the Russian president at his official home as the two leaders aim to strengthen a nearly 8-decade-old partnership that has endured despite a very complex geopolitical landscape. In fact, the two leaders will be holding talks at Hyderabad House in a restricted format. The official engagements start tomorrow. That's Friday. This will begin with a meeting with the President of India at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. This is likely around 11 a.m. IST. And following that, he is expected to visit Rajghat to pay tributes at the memorial, spending roughly 30 minutes at the site before heading to Hyderabad House, where the bulk of the diplomatic discussions will be taking place. What's on agenda? Just about everything from defense to trade, healthcare, alongside expanded cooperation in mobility partnerships, culture, people-to-people exchanges, and scientific collaboration. Remember, the Russian president arrived in New Delhi after 4 years for talks with the Indian Prime Minister. And the visit is about defense, it's about trade, but also geopolitics and signals to the world. All eyes are on the Modi-Putin meeting and what lies ahead, not only because the two leaders share that personal rapport, which has been, of course, talked about, but because the visit also comes at a rather turbulent juncture as far as the global political landscape is concerned. The last time Putin was in India, the world order looked very different. And at that 2021 summit, the two sides reaffirmed their special relationship and discussed military and economic cooperation. 3 months later, the Russia-Ukraine war started. The West tried to turn Putin into a global pariah in a way, restricting his travel and also sanctioning Moscow. And that was also before Donald Trump returned to the White House, remember, and upended years of steady US-India bonhomie with the rhetoric and some of the world's most punitive tariffs, throwing the Indian currency into a tailspin in a way. Now that's the context against which India is hosting the Russian president at a time like this. It's both a symbol of the enduring ties, a message. Neither India nor Russia will be dictated to by Washington. In fact, Putin also in India after reasserting his red lines as far as Ukraine is concerned. And with the Russian forces making recent gains on the battlefield, the Kremlin feeling its position has strengthened. For India, the visit comes amid tense trade relations with the United States, after Trump unfairly accused New Delhi of quote-unquote bankrolling Moscow through the cheap oil purchases. A charge that led to additional 25% tariffs on Indian imports, remember. And it goes without saying, India looks after its interests, it always has. But the anxiety in the West has become visible now, and how? On the eve of Putin's arrival, the French ambassador, the German High Commissioner, the UK High Commissioner, wrote a joint op-ed in the Times of India titled, "Russia doesn't seem serious about peace," quote-unquote. In fact, India's External Affairs Ministry issued a sharp rebuke, calling it not an acceptable diplomatic practice. To advise India publicly on its ties with a third country, Europe may struggle to accept it, but the days of imperial instructions are long gone. India is a sovereign republic and it makes its own choices. Its relationship with Russia going back decades and remains deeply entrenched. Russia is still India's biggest defense supplier. And during the war in Ukraine, the West did not care that its sanctions on Russia could have ripple effects across the world. And so India did what it needed to do for its own people by buying discounted Russian oil. Only after US peacemaking in Ukraine failed this year did Trump actually try to vent his frustration by accusing India of funding Moscow's war machine and the pressure to stop buying Russian oil. The result, new sanctions, new tariffs. Some private sector buyers in India, in fact, have slowed purchases, but India has also agreed to buy more US oil and gas. But the Kremlin also saying cooperation will continue. Its spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, admitted the obstacles, but also said that the impact on energy flows to India would be insignificant and brief, and that Russia has the technology to circumvent sanctions long term. But that's not even the real issue, is it? It's the fact that the West still does not understand India in a way. For decades now, New Delhi has pursued a policy of multi-alignment. So Trump's attempts to force India's hand have backfired and led to the worst decline in relations in years. Yet both sides know they are strategic partners. A new 10-year framework has been agreed to deepen defense technology, intelligence cooperation, and the trade deal is being negotiated, which India expects to finalize by the year end. But none of that signaling a break with Russia. India's position is consistent. It will engage everyone, which then brings us to today. Defense sales will be central, especially Russian S-400 systems and the Su-57 fighter aircraft, along with growing trade and energy cooperation. The optics are clear. No Quad summit this year, but full state visit for the Russian president. Now, for India, this is normal. For the West, it's a problem in a way. For the rest of the world, the lesson is quite simple. The West should stop telling India how to run its foreign policy. And when Prime Minister Modi and the Russian president greeting each other and that messaging being put out, it's more than just a photo op. It's a symbol of a time-tested partnership, to say the least, and also a reminder that the world is no longer unipolar. Multipolarity is here. And in this new century, India will not just talk multipolarity. It will let its actions do the talking. In fact, on that note, some breaking news coming in right this minute. As per sources to WION, the expected outcomes from President Putin's visit, let's just lay it out for you. The visit will go a long way in strengthening economic cooperation. President Putin traveling with a large group of business persons, and India expects to improve the trade deficit with Russia. Multiple avenues being worked out to increase Indian exports to Russia, exports in the field of pharmaceuticals, automobiles, agricultural products, including marine products. Indian businesses and products will get a bigger market. And this will also boost job creation and well-being of the farmers. Multiple agreements and MOUs expected in the fields of shipping, healthcare, fertilizers, connectivity. More cooperation also to be seen in the people-to-people ties, very significant. Mobility partnerships also, culture and scientific collaboration. So a host of those sectors on the table. Let's go straight across now to Siddhant Sibal, who's been tracking those developments very closely. A lot of anticipation, a lot of expectation. Siddhant, if you can just lay out for our viewers what is expected to unfold as part of the agenda. And also, like we've just pointed out, multiple sectors and a host of those issues that are going to be on the table.
Well, this is a state visit, and all the elements of a state visit will be present, whether it's the ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan tomorrow morning, whether it's the state banquet, or the press statements at the Hyderabad House. We know that several pacts will be announced, including on the mobility aspect, shipping, trade deficit is a concern for India. India wants Russia to buy more from India, and agriculture products are one such commodity at a time when Donald Trump's tariffs have kicked in. But the big picture clearly is the emphasis on India's strategic autonomy. The visuals that emerged from New Delhi earlier today, in last few hours, will be closely watched in the West, especially in Washington, D.C. The other aspect for Russia clearly is that at a time when it faces Western sanctions and Western isolation, it clearly has friends, especially in Asia, Asian giants like India and China, towards which it is looking for not only more stronger political relationship, but also stronger trading relationship.
Right, and we are coming back to you, Siddhant, for further updates on that front. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.